The avoidant person operates from the assumption that their emotional unavailability and strategic withdrawal grant them power and control within relationship dynamics. They interpret their partner's patience and continued investment as evidence of successful manipulation, believing they have secured someone's devotion while maintaining complete autonomy and freedom to dictate all terms of engagement. However, this perceived victory represents profound miscalculation about what was actually occurring throughout the relationship. Their defensive games and emotional manipulation ultimately removed them from the path of someone whose life trajectory was destined for growth and fulfillment they could never provide or participate in. They misinterpreted strategic observation as naive acceptance. The avoidant person congratulated themselves for successfully maintaining emotional distance while keeping their partner invested, believing their hot and cold patterns and mixed signals went undetected. They interpreted their partner's lack of confrontation about their behavior as evidence of gullibility or low self-worth, rather than recognizing it as strategic assessment conducted by someone gathering comprehensive data before making permanent decisions. Their partner was never fooled by their defensive tactics, but rather consciously choosing to observe their patterns fully before determining whether continued investment served their own well-being. This miscalculation proves their ultimate undoing, because while they believed they were cleverly manipulating someone blind to their games, their partner was actually documenting every instance of poor treatment and using that information to make informed decisions about their future. The avoidant person played themselves by confusing patience with weakness and observation with acceptance, ultimately providing all the evidence necessary for their partner to confidently walk away without regret or second-guessing. They removed themselves from someone's life precisely through the behaviors they believed were keeping that person under their control. They confused patience with desperation. The avoidant person interpreted their partner's willingness to give multiple chances and maintain connection despite poor treatment as a sign of desperate dependency, rather than recognizing it as mature understanding that people are complex and healing takes time. They believed their partner stayed because they lacked options or self-worth to leave, when actually their partner remained because they possessed enough security to distinguish between temporary struggles and permanent character while maintaining hope for genuine transformation. This fundamental misunderstanding caused the avoidant person to take their partner's presence for granted and escalate their poor treatment under the assumption that someone so desperate would never actually leave. They played themselves by failing to recognize that their partner's patience came with invisible timeline and clear standards that would eventually be enforced. By the time they realized their partner's tolerance had limits, they had already provided sufficient evidence through their consistent patterns that change was unlikely, making departure not emotional reaction but logical conclusion based on substantial data. They eliminated themselves from a valuable future. The avoidant person believed they were winning by keeping someone invested while offering minimal reciprocation, not recognizing they were actually removing themselves from association with someone whose life trajectory involved growth, success, and genuine fulfillment. Their defensive patterns and emotional unavailability ensured they would not be present for their partner's transformation and flourishing, that they would become footnote in someone's journey rather than meaningful chapter. They played themselves by trading temporary ego validation from feeling pursued for permanent exclusion from relationship with someone who possessed the emotional maturity, self-awareness, and capacity for growth necessary to build genuinely fulfilling life. While they enjoyed short-term sense of control and superiority, they sacrificed opportunity to be chosen by someone who had options and chose them anyway. By the time they recognized what they lost, their former partner had already moved so far beyond them that reconciliation became impossible, even if they developed capacity for genuine connection. They created the abandonment they feared most. The avoidant person's defensive strategies designed to protect against abandonment and rejection ultimately guaranteed the exact outcome they sought to prevent.